At 3,000 feet, the engines go silent. Not one, both. The cockpit fills with warning sounds. The plane is still flying, but it's losing speed. The pilot pushes the controls. Nothing happens. Both engines are gone. There is no altitude to waste, no margin for error. The only clear space left is a river.
In the next 15 minutes, you'll see how 208 seconds became the difference between catastrophe and survival. At 3,000 feet, the engines go silent. Not one, both. The cockpit fills with warning sounds, alarms flash across the panel. The vibration disappears, replaced by something worse, a sudden, unnatural quiet. The pilot looks at the controls. The plane is still flying, but it's losing speed, fast. Below, a city stretches out in every direction. Buildings, bridges, water, no runway in sight. There is no checklist for this situation. No training scenario that fully prepares you for losing all power over a crowded city. And in that moment, the pilot understands one thing clearly. He does not have much time. This is US Airways Flight 1549, an Airbus A320 flying from New York's LaGuardia Airport to Charlotte, North Carolina. On board are 155 people, 150 passengers, and 5 crew members. It's a routine afternoon flight, the kind that happens thousands of times every day. No delays, no weather warnings, nothing unusual in the airspace. In the left seat is Captain Chesley Sullenberger, a veteran pilot with decades of experience, including time as a fighter pilot and a safety instructor. In the right seat is First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, flying this aircraft type for the first time after recently completing training. They took off less than 2 minutes ago. The plane has just climbed above the city. Manhattan is visible through the windows. The Hudson River cuts a silver line through the buildings below. Most passengers are still settling into their seats. Some are checking phones. Others are looking out at the skyline. The cabin crew is preparing to begin normal service. For everyone on board, this flight is supposed to be forgettable. A short trip, a normal day, nothing worth remembering. And that's exactly why what happens next is so dangerous. Inside the cockpit, everything looks normal. The instruments are steady. The climb rate is smooth. The autopilot is engaged, guiding the aircraft upward along its assigned path. Sullenberger monitors the flight display while Skiles runs through routine post-takeoff checks. It's standard procedure, a sequence they've both performed hundreds of times before. There's no urgency in their movements, no raised voices, just quiet, professional focus. In the cabin, the mood is relaxed. Seatbelts click open. A few passengers stand to reach for bags in the overhead compartments. Others lean back and watch the city shrink beneath them. Through the windows, New York looks calm. The river reflects the afternoon light. Bridges stretch across the water. Ferries move slowly below, leaving white lines behind them. For most people on board, this is just another flight. A brief pause between one part of their day and the next. Some are heading home from business trips. Others are visiting family. A few are tourists, seeing the skyline for the first time from the air. Nothing about this moment feels dangerous. The aircraft is new. The weather is clear. The crew is experienced. Every system is working exactly as it should. There is no warning on the instruments. No unusual sound in the cabin. No sign that anything is about to change. And then, without any signal from the controls, something strikes the plane. The impact feels like a heavy thud, not violent but strong enough to be noticed. A deep vibration runs through the airframe, followed by a sound that doesn't belong in the sky. In the cockpit, both pilots feel it at the same time. A loud bang, then another. Sullenberger looks up from the instruments. Skiles turns his head toward the left engine. The noise fades quickly, but the plane no longer sounds the same. The steady hum of power is gone, replaced by something uneven and hollow. On the displays, warning messages begin to appear. The left engine is losing thrust. The right engine is behaving strangely too. Outside the windows, dark shapes scatter across the sky. Birds. A flock large enough to fill the windshield for a split second. Seagulls pulled into the engines at hundreds of miles per hour. Inside the cabin, a few passengers notice the sound. Some feel the vibration through the floor. Others see feathers streak past the windows and don't understand what they're looking at. The plane keeps climbing, but more slowly now. Sullenberger tries to adjust power. The response is weak. The left engine is no longer producing thrust. The right engine is struggling. Skiles reaches for the engine restart checklist. This is rare but not unheard of. Engines fail. Procedures exist for this exact situation, but something about this feels different. The plane isn't stabilizing. The power isn't returning, and the altitude is no longer increasing. For the first time since takeoff, the nose of the aircraft begins to drop. The engine readings fall to zero, first the left, then the right, not reduced, not unstable, completely gone. Sullenberger pushes the throttles forward. There is no response. The controls move, but nothing happens. The sound of power does not return. The Airbus is now a 70-ton glider. At just over 3,000 feet with a fully loaded passenger jet and no engines, there is no time for trial and error. No second attempt. No space to wait and see what happens next. Skiles begins the engine restart procedure. He reads the checklist out loud, step by step, his voice steady but fast. Sullenberger follows each instruction, trying to bring at least one engine back to life. The displays show no improvement. Fuel flow is present, ignition is active, but the engines do not respond. The birds have damaged them too severely. Both have shut down completely. Air traffic control calls in. US Air 1549, what is your emergency? Sullenberger answers calmly, we've lost thrust in both engines. There is a brief pause on the radio, then a change in tone. Controllers begin offering nearby airports, first LaGuardia, then Teterboro across the river in New Jersey. Runways are available, clear paths can be arranged. Sullenberger looks at the distance, he looks at the altitude, he looks at the speed. None of the numbers make sense. To reach either airport, the plane would need to turn. Turning costs altitude. Altitude is the one thing they no longer have. The aircraft is already descending. Every second the ground is getting closer. There is no engine power to recover lost height, no margin for mistakes, no room for indecision. In front of them, between the buildings and the bridges, lies only one clear option: water, a long stretch of river running straight through the city. Not a runway, not a landing field, not anything this plane was designed to touch, but it is flat, it is clear, and it is the only place within reach. Sullenberger makes the decision. We're going to the Hudson. Sullenberger disengages the autopilot. The plane is now entirely in his hands. Without engine noise, the cockpit feels unnaturally quiet. There is only the sound of airflow over the wings and the steady warning tones from the flight systems, reminding them that power is gone and will not return. Skiles stops the checklist. There is no point continuing. They both understand now that restart is impossible. The priority is no longer fixing the plane. It is controlling where it goes. Sullenberger lines the aircraft up with the river. He keeps the wings level, adjusting gently, careful not to lose too much speed. Too slow and the plane will stall. Too fast and impact with the water will tear it apart. In the cabin, the crew senses the change immediately. The engines are silent. The climb has stopped. The plane is descending and everyone can feel it. Flight attendants look at each other. They have no explanation yet, but they know this is not normal. One of them moves toward the cockpit. Another begins securing the cabin without being told. Then the announcement comes. This is the captain. Brace for impact. 3 words, no further explanation. No time for questions. Passengers look up from their seats. Some don't understand what they just heard. Others do, and their faces change instantly. Brace for impact means there will be no runway, no smooth landing, no second chance. The flight attendants shout instructions. Heads down, stay seated, arms crossed, protect your face. People drop phones, drinks spill. Someone starts praying, someone else begins crying. The river is now clearly visible through the windows. Ferries move slowly below, completely unaware that a passenger jet is descending toward them with no power. In the cockpit, Sullenberger focuses on one thing: angle. He keeps the nose slightly raised. He needs the plane to touch the water with the rear section first, like a controlled slide. Too steep and the nose will dig in. Too flat and the wings may catch the surface and rip apart. There is no training for this. No simulator scenario. No previous example of a large commercial jet landing on a river in the middle of a city. Everything he is doing is based on instinct, experience, and physics. Skiles watches the airspeed. It is dropping fast. Sullenberger adjusts again. The control forces feel heavier now. Without engine thrust, the plane is running out of energy. The bridges are getting closer. The buildings are passing beneath them. People on the ground are beginning to look up. Inside the cabin, the silence is terrifying. No engine noise, no announcements. Only the sound of air rushing past the fuselage. Passengers grip armrests. Some close their eyes. Others stare straight ahead, trying to understand how a normal flight turned into this in less than 3 minutes. The water fills the windows. Sullenberger makes his final adjustment. He pulls gently. The nose rises. The tail drops, and then the plane hits the river. The impact is violent but controlled. The rear of the aircraft strikes the water first, sending a massive spray into the air. The fuselage shudders as the plane skips once across the surface, then slams down again. Inside the cabin, people are thrown forward against their seatbelts. Bags fall from overhead compartments. The sound is deafening, a mix of tearing metal, rushing water, and human voices. But the plane does not break apart. It stays in one piece. For a brief moment, everything is still. Then water begins to rise. The cabin floor floods almost immediately. Freezing river water pours through small openings in the fuselage, soaking shoes, ankles, then legs. The plane is slowly sinking. Flight attendants move instantly. Leave everything. Get out this way. Emergency doors are opened. Inflatable slides deploy, transforming into life rafts. Passengers climb onto the wings. Others step into the rafts, shaking, wet, and confused. The river is filled with floating debris and scattered luggage. The cold is biting. The air temperature is near freezing. Some people are in business clothes. Some are barefoot. On the wings, passengers huddle together, balancing on wet metal, afraid to move too much in case the plane shifts. Nearby ferry boats see what has happened and change course immediately. Crews throw ropes. Rescue workers pull people aboard. From above, helicopters arrive. From the shore, emergency vehicles line the riverbanks. Inside the cockpit, Sullenberger and Skiles are the last to leave. They perform one final check of the cabin, making sure no one is trapped inside. Then they step out into the open air, onto the wing of a plane that should not exist in this place. In less than 4 minutes, a fully loaded passenger jet lost all power, descended over one of the most crowded cities in the world, and landed on a river. And somehow, everyone is alive. In the hours after the landing, investigators begin reconstructing what happened. The aircraft is recovered from the river and examined piece by piece. Both engines show the same damage. Bird remains are found deep inside the turbines, confirming that the flock disabled them completely. Simulations are run, again and again. The results are clear. From the moment the bird struck, no human pilot could have reached a runway in time. The altitude was too low. The distance was too far. The margin was too small. The river was the only option that existed. Sullenberger's decision is analyzed in flight simulators across the world. When other pilots are placed in the same scenario, most fail to reach an airport. Many crash into buildings or fall short of land. His choice to ditch in the Hudson is not just validated. It is proven to be the only survivable path. What makes this event extraordinary is not just skill, but timing. If the engines had failed a few seconds later, the plane would have been over dense neighborhoods. If they had failed earlier, the river might not have been within reach. If the angle of impact had been slightly different, the fuselage could have broken apart. Everything had to be exact. The speed, the descent, the alignment with the water. There was no room for error. And yet, in less than 4 minutes, A situation that should have ended in disaster became one of the most successful emergency landings in aviation history. Not because of luck, but because one human being, with limited time and no power, made the right decision under pressure. A decision that turned 208 seconds into the difference between catastrophe and survival.